Hello and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It was a decent response to our Shabbat Shalom. I feel like with more people here, it should have been a better response to our Shabbat Shalom. Well, we're gonna try it again. Here we go. Shabbat Shalom. That was a much better Shabbat Shalom. It is so nice to be with you on this fabulous Shabbat here together on this beautiful Florida day that started off cooler and ended up warmer, like all Florida days should go. I got up, it was like nice, and then I went to lunch and I came back to the car and it was like 84. I was like, why is it 84? Why?
It's not the 84, it's the 84 and 95% humidity.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Why? Why is that like that? I'm a Floridian, I should get used to this, but I'm upset about this. I'm really just gonna talk about this for the rest of the evening. We have no service planned. We're just gonna really talk to you about the weather and our frustrations with Florida for the rest of the evening. That's what we're gonna be doing. That's true, thank you. It is not snowing. My wife, who is from Maryland, always says, you don't have to shovel the sunshine. So that's true, yes. All right, so it's so nice to be with you to celebrate Shabbat. And if you are joining us on our live stream, hello. We are thrilled that you joined us on our live stream. If you would like to follow along completely, as in praying and chanting and singing, you're welcome to get our virtual prayer book, cbiboca.org, cbiboca.org, top left corner, hit menu. Under menu, it says services. Then scroll down and there will be a picture of the cantor without wearing a mask in that photo because it is an old picture. And there's a button there that says virtual prayer book, and then you can follow along with us and you can chant along and pray along and be fully present with us throughout our service. So we are hopefully you'll join us virtually. We have a lot of celebrations besides Shabbat this Friday now as the sun goes down and into tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and then tomorrow again at 4:45 o'clock. I just want to throw in the o'clock. So much excitement. We have some admin excitement at 10 o'clock. We have some Kuno excitement at 4:45. It is going to be fabulous and wonderful. We'll be celebrating with Hudson in the morning and with Skylar in the afternoon. And it's going to be fabulous. And so we are going to ask lots of people connected to those fabulous B'nai Mitzvah to join us on the Bima to help us light our Shabbat candles. So if you have your prayer book, make sure you have a prayer book. Make sure your prayer book, by the way, says Mishkan Tfilah on it, on the cover. Make sure it says Shabbat on it. We have other ones that say weekday and festival. Make sure your cover doesn't say weekday and festival, it says Shabbat. It's on page 2. We're going to be on page 2 in our prayer books. We're going to invite our candle lighters, Jessica Atman, Harper Atman, Gabby Atman, Skylar Cuno, Sophia Cuno, Sherry Glick Cuno, and Samantha Cuno. And for the Kiddush, come up here anyway, so you're up here anyway, Hudson Atman, Matt Atman, and Kevin Cuno. Come on up. That's like everyone in the congregation is coming up here now. I'm going to tell you it's good you don't hear what's happening up here. Just going to share it with you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
Now that we have, now that our Shabbat candles are lit and we are starting to breathe out the week and inhale the reflection and relaxation and beauty of Shabbat, we are going to continue to sweeten that space with the Kiddush. Now we're turning a little page turn to page 5 at the top of the page.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. You may please be seated. Everyone. No, over there. Go over there. Go over there. If you were not already planning, by the way, to come to services at 10 a.m. tomorrow or at 4:45, you should, because it's going to be
entertaining.
So now that our Shabbat candles are lit and we have also connected with our Kiddush and sweetened our time even further, we are going to enter Kabbalat Shabbat, our section of appreciating and welcoming the Shabbat bride. We'll continue with the words of Yedid Nefesh right in the middle of page 10. Page 10.
Yedid Nefesh al harachaman mishol chavdecha eretzonecha yarut avdecha kemo hayam ishtachaveh el תתחזק ותתרפא והייתה לה שמחת גדולה. ידעי לי 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 ידעי לי 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 ידעי לי 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 ידעי לי לי ידעי לי 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 ידעי לי 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 ידעי לי לי לי
We continue in our section of Kabbalat Shabbat, appreciating and connecting with our Psalms. We continue now with the back half of Psalm 98. That is on the top of page 16.
I introduced this melody last week, so I'm bringing it back. If you recall, Yai Lai 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 are the words. Hopefully by the third time around, you'll get it with me.
Wait. Do you say lie, 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 lie?
No, you don't say anything.
Whew, that's... Wait. Do you say lie, 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 lie?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
So should we practice?
No.
All right, great. Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre, and the melodious song with the trumpets and the blast of the horn. Raise a shout before God the ruler. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The world and its inhabitants, let the rivers clap their hands. The mountains sing joyously together at the presence of God. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule and will rule justly, and its people with equity. Those beautiful words that Cantor Muchnick just sang for us in Psalm 98. We continue now with Lecha Dodi, which can be found on page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kahala b'nei Shabbat ne'kabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kahala b'nei Shabbat ne'kabela. Shamu v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmiyanu el hameyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet. Lecha Dodi במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שידברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה.
Number 9.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה. לי 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 לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה עיני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. We continue Chatzi Kaddish on page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מבורך לעולם לעולמי המאיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Amen.
We stand for the Baruch Hu on page 28. 28.
Lai, 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 lai,
אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובדבונם משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. Praised are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Page 33. At the bottom, let's alternate paragraphs. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. 34:35.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue Vahafta, page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha. Vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha beveitecha uvelachtecha v'derech uveshochbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot ayadecha vehayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha lema'an tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Eloechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, there's eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that there's a winding way to that promise that passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, Micha Mocha, our Song of Redemption, on page 40. This next prayer that we know very well and connect with on Shabbat comes right out of Torah text, literally lifted right out of Torah, placed into liturgy in prayer books all over the world. It doesn't matter if it's a conservative prayer book, a reform prayer book, an Orthodox prayer book, a Reconstructionist prayer book. V'shamru appears in our prayer books. And this week's Torah portion is the source for the V'shamru. What? I was excited. I guess I was the only person in the room who was excited. But I was very excited. Thank you. Yeah. Matthew, thank you for raising your hand. Yes. Cantor? No, nothing. Just.
Well, I mean, I chose the song for this
evening
for a reason.
Nice. This is good. It's very good. So, with renewed connection to the actual piece of text that connects with our Torah portion this week, V'shamru, top of page 44.
Yamim asa Adonai asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz u'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'inafash V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat.
It sounded even better this week because it was connected to the Torah portion. Did you feel it? I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone else felt it too.
Yes. Now that they know it was in the Torah portion.
Now that they know it was in the Torah portion, it's just beautiful connection. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I think it's just us talking up here.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to continue now with the Amidah, which can be found on page 46, and together we stand.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We take some time now for our own silent prayers, thoughts, and meditations, beginning here on page 52 through page 62. When you're finished, please be seated.
עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו
The Torah portion this week has some interesting roller coaster rides, ending with perhaps the biggest mistake in the history of Judaism, and that is the building of the golden calf. The Israelites had just lived through a miracle of dancing at the shores that opened and then closed, and they were free, followed by the fact that they received the Ten Commandments. And Moses goes to get the official tablets, and while he's up there, they get bored. They threaten Aaron, and they melt all their gold, and they build a golden calf. They go against everything they learned. They go against every system that they've heard about since then. They forget all the miracles that they had been through. And because of that, when Moses comes down and sees that the Israelites are dancing and praying to several idols, including the golden calf, he throws the tablets, the perfect tablets, probably written by God, throws them and destroys the calf. So the tablets that we know, the Ten Commandments that we know, by the way, are the second set, because Moses goes up back to God, because first of all, God says, I can't believe the Israelites did this. I kind of want to wipe them out. And it's Moses that says, no, don't. So the second set comes out, and that's what's the ones that we know. So the Ten Commandments that we know are the second set. But this is perhaps the greatest failure ever of the Jewish people, is building the golden calf, going against every possible sensical piece of knowledge they had learned from even while they were slaves, because they never shed their Judaism even while slaves. They never bowed down to idols. And now they're bowing down to idols. So they go against their whole system in building this golden calf. And so the question is, where do we go from here? So lots of commentaries and lots of commentators name this section of the Torah essentially picking up the pieces, because the pieces are broken. And some commentary says, by the way, that after the tabernacle is built and the second set of tablets are placed in the tabernacle, they also take all the broken pieces of the original set and carry it with them as well, so they never forget the brokenness that they created, that they carry the brokenness with them, which is a very complicated piece of text to think about. And I'll share with you that it's interesting that the Torah portion falls for us on Ki Tisa, which is this section of Torah. At the same time that, I don't know if you heard about this, and I'm only going to do a smidge of information about it, but it falls into the picking up the pieces idea. And that comes from an article that came out in the Forward, a Jewish publication. I think it came out, I have it right here, it came out on the 17th. And it was about the Reform movement, about the URJ. And the fact that the URJ, the Union for Reform Judaism, that's the governing body of the Reform movement, that actually owns and operates Jewish summer camps all over the world. Turns out that in the 80s and the 90s was running kind of an old boys camp, and lots of egregious behavior went on in that time period. Lots of brokenness happened in that time period. Things that shouldn't have happened to younger people, things that shouldn't have been said, things that shouldn't have been done. And the levels of inappropriateness go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so there is, at this moment, a black eye on the Reform movement and the camp system. And it, interestingly, that fits into this week of this brokenness and of these tablets that we have to figure out what to do with. And so Rabbi Rick Jacobs, who is the head of the URJ, he's the president of the Union for Reform Judaism, the entire governing body of all Reform synagogues, period, all Reform synagogues, wrote, because it really officially came out yesterday, right? He wrote, yesterday was a difficult day for all of us across the Union for Reform Judaism. We were forced to confront hard truths about the pain that too many in our communities have experienced. And he goes on to connect the Torah portion, and he says that Kitisa, the Jewish people profoundly lose their way also in building idols. The ancient rabbis posit that the shards, which I just mentioned, were gathered up and placed in the Ark of the Covenant to be carried by the ancestors the remainder of the journey to remind us of the brokenness all the way through and through and through. And so he goes on to say that we will carry this brokenness and harm that has been experienced in our Reform community over the next decades. When sacred trust has been violated, it takes an entire community to restore it. And so he asks on the Shabbat of all of us in the movement, and in these coming days, to summon some spiritual strength and reflection, and to deeply figure out and try to resolve what's happened in our sacred community and how we make our sacred spaces safe. Now, this was a very old story, and so what I can tell you now is that in the last 15 and 20 years, this has not been happening in the Reform movement and has not been happening at the Reform Jewish summer camps. But the story came out that it was happening before, which is unacceptable, and something that we have to carry with us and talk about why it was happening then. In that brokenness, however, I would like for us to think about the other parts of this Torah portion. The fact that it talks about us being counted. It talks about a census. That what we say counts, and what we do counts. And when we decide to push ourselves and read this and research it and grow from it, we can make that count. Another part of this week's Torah portion is about Shabbat, about appreciation of Shabbat and serenity of Shabbat, and the fact that we get a reset button every week for us to reflect on the previous week. And so we hope that we get this reset button to learn from what was going on all these years ago. Thankfully not happening now. And lastly, I just wanted to mention there's another, what I think is a beautiful angle to brokenness. And everyone in this room can appreciate it, has probably seen it or experienced it themselves. And that is an extremely joyous moment. In an extremely joyous moment, we are asked to break a piece of glass. That's what we do. That's the end of a Jewish wedding. And that glass, of course, reflects onto the fall of the temple, perhaps, and lots of other things that we can connect to it. But what's the irony of the brokenness in that moment? What are the words that are shouted the second that glass breaks? Mazel tov. And so that gives us an opportunity, by the way, to reflect on how brokenness sometimes can bring this joy for us. That sometimes the brokenness is sheer joy, because if you have either experienced it yourself, stepped on that glass yourself, saw someone else you love step on that glass right next to you, know a relative who stepped on that glass, you know there's nothing like stepping on that glass. It is fabulous. But yet there's brokenness in it. And that brokenness then teaches us that we find those shards, that we connect those shards, that we can do that together, and that joy can come from that moment. And so not only with our complicated story regarding the URJ, which again was not happening in the last 15 years, but in previous years. But that's a way for us to think about and learn and grow from the mistakes and grow from that broken glass. And now into this idea of joyousness that we have on Shabbat together, and the idea of this very important part of Judaism, that when we step on that glass, it really brings us lots and lots of joy. So on this Shabbat, I hope for all of us a Shabbat that is filled with deep relationships, that is filled with partnership and with love and relaxation and celebration. And I hope that it'll be measured in a way that our happinesses should be just as high as the brokenness of that glass. May we have a very happy and meaningful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. We think of those in our community who are in need of healing, physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. Here at CBI, we think of Chava Leah Bat Esther, Gary Bandel, Lillian Bushell, Sloan Caston, Brian Church, Karen Coles, Chuck Curry, Casey Daskell, Mark Davis, John Day, Jaden Deal, Jill Gottlieb, Judith Dratler, Margot Engel, Bobby Fitchman, Herbert Fitchman, Jean Frankel, Stuart Fruman, Martin Edelman, Chava, Reina Bat Esther, Ellen Hedrick, Larry Horn, Paulette Howard, Stan Jacobson, Ira Kafka, Shirley Kafka, Gary Kane, Bonnie Kleinman, Michelle Kingen, Esther Rhoda Kaufman, Stuart Krugman, Gloria Land, Rochelle Liebman, Michael Stephen Linder, Michael Medoff, Yankel Yitzchak Ben Moshe, Linda Greenblatt Neuwirth, Arnold Plotsky, Gloria Plotsky, Elliot Porowich, Mark Rosenberg, Joy Rosenberg, Moshe Ben Sarah, Annette Suave, Lexi Schlesinger, Jason Seidman, David Schwartz, Ezra Shashua, Diane Spiro, Gloria Spiro, Barbara Weiss, Ashley Weiss. To those names who had any name that you would like to add at this time. Mishabach can be found on page 253.
Sarah Riv hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Some announcements for us on this fine Erev Shabbat. There are still tickets available for Henry Winkler. That is on the 26th at 7 p.m. in this very room. It's going to be fabulous and wonderful, and hope that you can join us to celebrate him and chat with him. It's going to be moderated by our great executive director, Steve Allen, who's in the back right there. There he is, right there, yay. That's on the 26th at 7 p.m. The next day, it's not the next day, the 28th. On the 28th, we have on Sunday something called Coffee and Conversation. It's a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. You can join us on Sunday. There'll be a nice breakfast and be some coffee open to everybody. We'll be talking about the week's Torah portion, and it's going to be really, really, really wonderful. That's on the 28th. On the 1st of March, this is a virtual treat. You don't want to miss this. You don't have to go anywhere. It's going to be on Zoom. There's a professor named Paul Lips who will be speaking about Jewish religious leadership and religion in Israel. It is at 12 o'clock, from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It's on Zoom, and he is my former professor, actually. And I'm kind of doing it with my buddies. So we're all co-sponsoring it. So B'nai Israel is co-sponsoring it, and I have a bunch of buddies all around the world who are also co-sponsoring the Zoom to be in on the Zoom. Buddy in Canada, buddy in Los Angeles, buddy in Indiana, a friend of mine in Indianapolis. And so we're all sponsoring him to come in. So if you're available Tuesday, March 1st at 12 o'clock, just jump in on the Zoom, and you'll get to hear from an incredible speaker and a brilliant educator about Israel. That is
one of my favorite professors in my years there.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
He's amazing. Plus his accent is, because he's from Rhodesia, so he's amazing. He's phenomenal. So I don't know you had him as a professor. Yeah, he's so good. He's so good. The next Chardonnay Shabbat, the one, it's happening right now. So when you walk out of here, there's Chardonnay Shabbat. It's happening right outside these doors. The next one is on the 11th of March, so you can mark that in your calendars. On the 16th, there is something happening of March.
Yeah, this Purim.
Yes,
You're
Purim.
not going to want to miss it. I've been working on those videos, and Rabbi Keller does quite a job. Got Steve in the back there is participating in it. We got a whole bunch of others. Rabbi Silvers is in on it. Allison is in on it. Let's see, who else is there? We got Rachel Sherman is in on it. It's going to be quite amazing. Awesome. You don't want to miss it. Yeah. It's power ballads and classic rock.
Yeah, so it's going to be awesome.
Make sure you're here.
Don't stop believing. All right. Nice. The following day, during the day, so it's a daytime thing, but whatever you're doing during the day, skip it. And come back to CBI on the 17th, the next day, which is Purim Day. We are having Megillah and mimosas. So we'll be studying the Megillah, and there'll be mimosas and Bloody Marys, because you're commanded to have a little libation on Purim. So come have a libation, hang out with us, and study the not so children side of the Purim story, which is quite complicated. It is not such a kid story to begin with. So join us for that. Lastly is, two more things. On the 23rd, 7 to 15, we're doing something called Courtyard Cinema. So you're welcome to join us out in the courtyard and watch a movie. It's going to be great. It's going to be super fun. That's on the 23rd. And on April 8th,
Disney Shabbat.
There's a lot of words you said about that, Muchnick. Just said Disney Shabbat.
What more is there to say? Disney and Shabbat.
That was you went all out for that one, Muchnick. You went all out for that one. That was
some of your favorite Disney tunes set to our prayers for Friday night.
Now you're overdoing it. Okay, we are going to begin to conclude our service with Aleinu and Kaddish. Aleinu can be found on page 282, and together we stand.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We transition now to Kaddish Tom, to Mourner's Kaddish. We mourn the passing of Joy Rosenberg, wife of Jeffrey Rosenberg, mother of Sloan, Jared Niles, Alyssa Rosenberg, and Evan Rosenberg, grandma of Ethan Niles. We also mourn the passing of Isabel Kemper, mother of Alice Kemper. In the period of Shiva, we think of Adele Zeller. And in the period of Shloshim, the immediate 30-day mourning period, we think of Hannah Fredericks and Arlene Roth. And our yortzais that occur for us on this Shabbat: Nathan Ackerman, Arthur Kahn, Morris Farley, Louis Gershon, Lena Gertz, Manny Goldblatt, Robert Herskowitz, Alan Howard, Mortimer Kent, Arthur Klein, Fanny Krimsky, Hedwig Kupferberg, Claire Meyerson, Evelyn Miller, Belle Ogaz, Jean Sear, Ruth Shapiro, Lottie Sider, Harold Sider, Martin Silver, Stanley Spilvogel, Arthur Tools, Maxine Weissman, Edith Weprin. To those names, we had any name that you would like to add at this time. Kaddish Tom, Mourner's Kaddish, 294. Yitkadal v'kadash shmei rabbah, v'alma divrach cherutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chai echon v'yom echon v'chai d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah maborach לעולם ולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן ברמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say amen. We are going to conclude with Shalom Aleichem, this fine Erev Shabbat. Please be seated.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Olachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bechuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Tonight tonight is once again Chardonnay Shabbat. We are sharing our Chardonnay Shabbat with friends who visit us on occasion from a synagogue in Michigan. So if there are some people that you don't recognize, they are actually having their service parallel in our chapel. So be nice to them, and they are visiting, and so we can be hanging out with them as well. Lots of other ways to celebrate Shabbat. I forgot to mention, tomorrow morning at 8:30 is our Torah learning service. It is at 8:30 on Zoom. And then at 10, we have Shabbat and the Atman extravaganza. And then at 4:45, we have Shabbat and the Kuno extravaganza. So lots of ways to celebrate Shabbat with all of us. Adonai oz lamo yiten, Adonai v'ech et amo v'shalom. May God give strength unto our people, continue to bless us with hope and strength and love and peace. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.